Guten Tag, Leute. Heute werden wir nochmal über Relativsätze sprechen. Today we're going to talk again about relative sentences, relative clauses with relative pronouns. But today we're going to focus on the nominative and the accusative case. Just as a reminder, remember the basic rules. In German, relative pronouns must be used. They're not optional. Secondly, when you're writing a sentence using a relative pronoun, you have to precede the relative clause with a comma. And thirdly, relative pronouns act as subordinating conjunctions in German, and they send the primary conjugated verb to the end of the relative clause. Okay, so again, just another review. A definite relative pronoun must agree in gender and number with the noun to which it refers, which is called the antecedent. The case of the relative pronoun is determined by its use within the relative clause, and the verb will always be pushed to the end because the relative pronoun will act as a subordinating conjunction. These are things we covered in the first video. Before we go further, let's review what makes a word nominative in German. So it is either the subject of a sentence, or it's nominative if it appears after a conjugation of the verb sein, which can be any of its present tense conjugations, or any of its past tense conjugations, or the verb werden. What makes a word accusative in German? 1. It's the direct object of a sentence, or it comes after certain prepositions which indicate the accusative case. These are durch, für, gegen, ohne, entlang, und bis. Okay, so here we have our chart, and remember, what we're going to be doing with relative pronouns is we have to remember that in the accusative, the only change that takes place is der changes to den, die and das stay the same. So really, when it comes to the accusative, you're just going to have to be aware of the masculine nouns because the rest will not change. So one of the easiest ways, I think, to understand which relative pronoun to use is to deconstruct the relative clause and place it back in its normal order. When you do this, it's easier to determine what case the noun is in. Make sure you have a clear understanding, however, when a noun is nominative or accusative. Okay, so for example, wo ist das Buch? And then we're going to insert a relative pronoun, ich gestern gekauft habe. So if we had this and we were trying to figure out what is going to be the relative pronoun that's going to refer back to das Buch. Well, one way to do this is to deconstruct or reconstruct the relative clause in its normal order. So we'd start with the subject, ich, and then we'd put the first verb back at the start, ich habe, and here we have an adverb gestern, and then the relative pronoun, and then the past participle. So when we do that, we have the sentence, we're going to put the antecedent in the blank there. So ich habe gestern das Buch gekauft. And we can see that the Buch here is going to be the accusative case because it is receiving the action of the verb. I bought what? The book. So in this case, our answer is wo ist das Buch, das ich gestern gekauft habe? Had it been a masculine noun, such as der Bleistift, then it'd be wo ist der Bleistift, den ich gestern gekauft habe. And had it been a feminine noun, such as die Landkarte, wo ist die Landkarte, die ich gestern gekauft habe? So fairly simple. Hoffentlich ist das hilfreich. Vielen Dank für das Zuschauen.